What's going on YouTube? It is your boy Jesus TV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about this season 1 finale of The Walking Dead TS-19. So 6 episodes in one season is kind of short, but I guess The Walking Dead didn't want to do too much in the first season. We still have 10 more now that we're looking back on the series. It's going to be an insane journey to get through this. Um, yeah. But anyways, let's get straight into it. We're going to talk about the plot and then the critical reception. I have a little bit of downtime. I have to leave for class in about 15 to 20 minutes, so I can get this video out for you guys real quick. I do have homework, but I'm pretty far into it. I'm about 60% of the way done with some math homework. Yeah, we're starting college up, and I'm trying to give you guys some consistent videos. So yeah, there's going to be some downtime, but this channel overall will stay afloat. Hopefully this Friday we have a JID album coming out, so I will be reviewing that for you guys. But anyways, let's get into the plot. So the episode opens with a flashback where Shane Walsh ensures that the still conscious Rick Grimes is secured within the hospital during the onset of the zombie apocalypse. So kind of showing what happened when Rick got to the hospital, showing the friendly gesture that Shane did to make sure he was safe, and that kind of changes the opinions on Shane. That's kind of the purpose of the opening sequence of the episode. Yeah. Shane pretty much was a hero. I don't think Rick would have survived without Shane, so keep that in mind as we progress through this series. So, in the present, Rick's group has entered the CDC building in Atlanta with help from its sole remaining scientist, Dr. Edwin Jenner, which we saw doing the experiments in the last episode. And it's kind of weird. If you guys watched this episode, they were only at the CDC, like in the building, and being held in hospitality for one episode, and that, I guess that's a fault. I'm sure it's gonna get criticized because I guess realistically you're not gonna have paradise in a place like this, and in an apocalypse you're not gonna have paradise ever. They just had one night of enjoyment and then they had to leave the next day, and we will figure out why they had to leave the next day here in a moment. So Jenner makes them undertake a blood test to prove they are not infected. Obviously you don't turn into a zombie right away, so he had to take his safety precautions as a health professional, obviously. And I know there's a glare on my face, and you're not going to be able to see like this side of my face, but I'm doing this during the day, so you can see the light in the background, and so things kind of pop in my setup. We should be streaming tonight on Twitch. I don't know. I have to go to bed somewhat early. I have to get up at like 7:30 tomorrow and go to class, but yeah, we'll see what we can do tonight. The group enjoys the luxuries of the facility, which is self-powered and sells running water, food, alcohol, and other amenities. So pretty much throughout this whole apocalypse, none of the survivors have been able to partake in any alcohol, have any good sleep. A running supply of food and water and stuff like that. They're not used to that. They kind of had to go seek that themselves, the hunter-gatherer type of thing. But yeah, Jenner admits he is the only researcher that stayed behind, many of the others having left for their families or committed suicide, so maybe those people are seen as cowards, and Jenner's kind of like one for the cause, and he's like determined to get things done. But yeah, so he's pretty much telling them what happened to the other doctors and stuff like that, so that's interesting to say the least. Let's see. A drunk Shane approaches Lori Grimes about her callous attitude towards him with Rick's return and attempts to rape her, but backs off when she scratches his neck, so kind of she like claws him. So it's kind of a disturbing moment between Lori and Shane here. You know, obviously Shane's like under the influence of some drinks, but still this is really weird of Shane to be doing this. I'm not really sure about it. It's kind of a weird scene. He gets kind of touchy and she's like screaming. It's obviously a very terrifying moment as a woman to have to go through that. Yeah. Anyways. What else? Jenner later shows Rick's group that he had learned from test subject 19, who had been his wife but volunteered to be recorded after she was bitten in hopes of discovering a cure. The infection kills the carrier, but causes the brain to reactivate and reanimate the body shortly thereafter, eliminating any conscious human traits. So pretty much you're not a human anymore, you are a monster, you're taken over, you're pretty much possessed. And he shows like the process of the brain when someone gets bit. It's kind of some cool insight to get, kind of the origins, what happens. You know, he is like the health professional. His sole purpose in the series is to kind of be informative and let the audience and the obviously Rick's group know like what this illness is about. I mean, it's something that could realistically happen, but it is very unlikely that a brain gets killed off and then revitalized by some external virus. I don't think there's any virus out there that has the power to take over a whole body, but you never know. Other zombie apocalypse movies, I mean, you get bit and you instantly turn into a zombie. I think where The Walking Dead prospers is that there's much more of a scientific process that they explain in this episode that comes with this virus and whatnot. So yeah. Jenner had been in communication with other facilities worldwide, but they went silent, knowing the French had been close to a cure, but affirms that human civilization is ceasing to exist. So it's kind of like the space race at this point with other countries, but with this illness, and they're going against the French, and they're pretty much, the French are doing really good, but as of now, there's no communication, so we have to kind of assume that the French did not succeed. The group discovers that the generator's fuel reserves are nearly exhausted. When empty, the facility will enter a self-destruct mode by design to eradicate all the infectious diseases stored there. And, at first, me and the survivors were wondering, why the hell would the lab blow up if it ran out of energy? But you gotta realize all the ventilation systems, all the contaminant systems, everything that's like kind of keeping these viruses in, you don't want those out in the public. I mean, I know it's a zombie apocalypse. I know not a lot of people are going to be near this building. They're not going to really walk by it and be like, oh my god, look at that building, let's go in it. Because it is under security. No one's getting in unless permitted to. But you got to think, at the time this episode was made, there were a lot of viral epidemics going on. You had Ebola. I mean Ebola was a big one. That's the only one we really need to talk about. That's enough to be yeah, don't let this out into the damn world. 2010, yeah, Ebola was a thing. You don't want that out in the world. So Jenner shields the building, refusing to follow Rick's group to leave, but promises the high impulse thermobaric weapon designed to destroy the facility will mean their deaths will be quick. So he's pretty much trapping them and killing the group off, and they gotta find a way to get out of the building. It's pretty intense. This Jenner guy's kind of a sick fuck when it comes to life and death. His concepts, it's we're in a zombie apocalypse. Why would I care to live anymore? Why would I want to suffer and to just take the easy way out, take the coward way out? And I like Rick's approach. It's not really a realistic approach when we're talking about a zombie apocalypse. But, I mean, obviously it's an optimistic one. He is supposed to be a leader for a group. He's trying to lead them to salvation. But realistically, I mean, you're not going to survive for long when you're in a zombie apocalypse. I mean, a lot of the people in the group are going to kind of die off. So, yeah. Rick's group tries in vain to have Jenner open the doors, and Rick eventually convinces him to allow them to at least try to overcome the tragedy rather than be forced to die. So there's 4 or 5 minutes left on the timer until this place just fucking explodes. And by the way, the CGI when it explodes is garbage as hell. I did not know CGI was that bad in 2010. Then again, there weren't a lot of CGI driven movies and TV shows at the time, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. Let's see here. 2 of Rick's group, Jackie and Andrea, choose to stay behind, but Dale Horvath refuses to leave without Andrea and stays as well. So now we're oh my god, Dale, Andrea, and Jackie are going to die in one episode. And I knew Andrea and Dale weren't going to stay there. I think Jackie's not an important character. She had a few lines of dialogue throughout the series, but she got killed off, and I was okay, whatever. I mean, she's not really that big of a character, but yeah. As Rick departs, Jenner whispers something to him. We don't know what that is. Maybe that will be revealed later. Again, Walking Dead kind of sprinkles things throughout their show that hints at stuff that's supposed to happen. And things that are left in the air. They're really good at that, building the suspense. Again, leaving stuff in the air. Yeah, let me see if I can turn this up. You see my face a little better there? No, not really. I mean, there's just a big glare through the window. Maybe that's better. No, it's not. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to figure out the lighting situation. So shortly thereafter, Andrea has a change of heart, not wishing to see Dale die, and the two escape the building moments before its destruction. Yeah, I mean, Dale's going to stay there with her and die, and she's like, this is an old man. He needs to live the rest of his years as much as he can. And I don't know, maybe, I don't know, you can say that about the young people, but seeing an old man die and seeing someone come close to you and sucking them into your problems is probably the guilt that Andrea associated with, especially the survivor's guilt of her sister Amy dying. So maybe that set in. And so the surviving members return to their vehicles and set off away from the smoking huts of the CDC, and that's where we're left off. Where will the group go? Will they find other survivors? That is what we're going to find out in Season 2. Again, you can't really stay in one spot for too long in this show. I mean, that's pretty much implied when you're in a zombie apocalypse. 1 second. Well, I'm not going to have time to plug my computer in, so there's no point. But, yeah, let's get into the reception. Favorable reviews from most television critics, 8.5 out of 10 on IGN. The episode was an exceptional showing for the series, adding that it told a compelling, intense story within its hour, albeit averting from the comics. The first season of The Walking Dead doesn't exactly end on an optimistic note, but our heroes are left driving into the unknown after escaping certain death at the CDC. Everyone's still kind of in the dark. The TS-19 came to an abrupt, explosive end, literally. The frenetic pace of The Walking Dead was relatable. The character development in the episode, as well as the varying political themes covered, were great. After 6 episodes, the characters are worth caring about, despite occasional stilted monologues, quick tempers, and unfortunate stereotypes. The few living souls in The Walking Dead are a bigger draw than the undead. The show has spent more time on topics like marriage, parenthood, unfaithfulness, loss, domestic violence, gender roles, small-scale politics, loyalty, kindness, than it has with kill shots. By filling the world with zombies, Frank Darabont is able to explore the human condition under extreme circumstances. It was a pretty entertaining episode. The conclusion resonated over images of Rick and company U-turning into the great unknown. We got the sense that as long as they were alive, at least there was a chance at tomorrow. I was intrigued at how producers approached the themes of the comics. It was proof that they were using the comics as a route for thematic inspiration in lieu of a literal interpretation. The finale did yield much insight, thought into the nature of the plague itself in relative terms anyways. Most of these complaints stem from the length of the season and the fact that we're already at the end of the road. With a few more episodes, we could have had a fully satisfying finish. As it stands, we were treated to an excellent episode, but not one that felt like a thorough wrap-up. Yeah, I mean, this episode really doesn't feel like the finale of a series, especially a series like The Walking Dead. It really doesn't feel like that, but it is. I mean, some people did not like the episode. I mean, some people declared it as a compelling hour, or people said that it was lacking for a season finale, while there was a massive fireball and a decent amount of zombie action, not to mention some concrete information regarding the outbreak. There are still several plot threads that haven't come close to resolution, and that's kind of the point. That's why the show is continuing. In contrast to a great season, the episode was a mediocre conclusion of The Walking Dead's first season. This might have been the silliest hour of television that I've ever watched. I don't understand that. The AV Club gave it a B- grade. There was some good stuff in the episode. It fell below some people's expectations. Many scenes in the episode, like the explosion scene, were kind of a waste of cinematography to people. And yes, it was pretty terrible. It was pretty terribly shot and CGI'd, but it is what it is. The fact that almost all the scenes played out in dark, close quarters, wasted The Walking Dead's gorgeous cinematography. The pacing was again offbeat, with far too much padded scenes of people looking at one another in shock. And though people are usually not bothered by plot contrivances, there's no way anyone in a vehicle that close to such a huge explosion would have lived through it. Yeah, probably not. There's a lot of unrealistic stuff in here, but then again, we're talking about a zombie apocalypse. This is a sci-fi show, pretty much. You can say it as that. An interesting episode, could have been executed in a better manner for some people. The character progression of several characters and the performances of various actors were lauded. Bernthal, Holden, and Munn delivered brilliant character work. Emmerich has a nervous intensity that grounded every scene he was in, which the show needs. Emmerich's acting is haunting. Lincoln holding Demon episode highlights. The character development remained one of the series' strongest points. There are definitely some flaws, but I overall think this was a good episode. This is going to be a long video, but I have time. I'm probably going to head out to class literally the second after this video is over. And then I'm going to go get some lunch, go to my next class, go play basketball, come back, eat dinner, and then, I don't know. We'll see about tonight's streaming, but this is the only YouTube video as today. You guys are going to have to wait later in the week to get some viable content. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it has been GZTV reviewing the best TV shows. We're pretty much going to do one show a day. Maybe one night. Like when I can stay up till like 2 in the morning Wednesday night because I don't have a class Thursday till 11. Maybe then I can watch 2 episodes and give you guys some reviews. But I'm out. Have